Very good evening. It's Shane from Lifestyle. I've been trying to figure out how to put it in words to describe, what's going on in our world right now. And it's very difficult because there's a lot of different things taking place, which I'm sure you're aware of, which are very unusual. I was thinking about Julian Assange earlier on, and since he's been released under that US deal that was made, we've not heard a single word from him. And Julian Assange, I'm sure you're well aware, was the co-owner of what was it called? WikiLeaks, and it was the bringing awareness of the actions that was, taking place in Iraq War, where several civilians were murdered, pretty much, by the American Armed Forces, or more so the Air Force. Those pilots in the Apache helicopter opened fired on these civilians, also hitting, a child in a van. And we saw that soldier, if you remember those images of the soldier running off with the child that was hit by the rounds fired from the Apache helicopter, hit the van, and the American soldier, runs in, grabs the child out of the van and runs out the region with her in his arms. Quite prolific images. But then, we live in a world, don't we? I'm just going to talk about a few subjects, random subjects, but I think you'll understand the same way I do feel right now. Look at what's happened in the last week, where the president of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has had a warrant issued against him, and the United States have refused to arrest him if he goes travelling to America. Unbelievable. The international court and justice system has put a warrant out on Benjamin Netanyahu for war crimes, and America's refused to arrest him. What does that say for the international justice and law, when America can do what it wants, pretty much as it wants, when it wants? And there was another thing that was I was pondering this afternoon, and that was the American debt. Not so much the national debt, but the related debt to individuals, totaling over 100 trillion. And then you add the national debt on top of that, which is 36 trillion, which is gaining a few trillion each year now, just in interest. How are they ever going to pay it off? And why in the hell are people still using dollars when it is completely worthless, not even backed by gold, just paper printed by the Fed? How is their economy still working? And who is the holder of this debt? The 136 trillion. Who's the holder of this? What bank has that sort of assets to lend a single country? And in what terms are they being repaid? And at what rate? We live in a day and age where we can't talk freely, clearly. People in the United Kingdom were put in jail for discussing the Stockport killings of those 3 children. Yet, at the same time, hardened criminals were released after serving 2/3 of the sentence to make room in prison. For what? For people that merely just spoke on a topic? When it was their full entitlement to talk on any subject they wish, with whoever they want, on any platform they so choose. Yet, in some circumstances, people were sentenced for 2 years. And that was Keir Starmer's fault. He made sure that there were immediate repercussions for anyone talking about that event. When it came out clearly now that this member was an extremist. And Keir Starmer said, no, this is a guy from Wales. He's not even Muslim. And he's put a gagging order on every member of parliament, stopping them from talking about this. Keir Starmer, right now, is in denial. He hasn't been in power very long. He hasn't held his position very long. Yet, already, there is an enormous petition of over 2 million signatures from the members of public demanding his resignation. And the reason why that is because his manifesto is the complete opposite to the way he is dealing with the general public right now. His promises in his manifesto have been reversed because he has taken away the winter fuel allowance from the most vulnerable people in this country, the pensioners. And at the same time, he donates billions of pounds in aid to countries like the Ukraine to keep a war going now that is summoning 18-year-olds to the front line. You know, it's a crime in itself what is taking place now, and Ukraine need to really make a harsh decision, you know, because there will be no males left in that country, because the necessity to feed that meat grinder that is taking place is, you know, slaughtering tens and hundreds of thousands of people's lives. It's all right for us over here in the West because, you know, for a lot of us, those that can afford it just barely can have the creature comforts like warmth, food. But can you imagine what it's like in Ukraine, in those trenches, in this temperature, at this time of the year? Just when you think about all what's going on, you know, with human behaviour and then nature on top of that, I'm talking about the pole reversal, you know, the climate change, which is clear, but not clear that it is caused by CO2, because that's ridiculous. This is just a way, and I'm pretty sure you agree with me, it's just a way of, you know, stealth taxing us. You know, COP29 want to raise £1.3 trillion to give to first world countries so that they can be taking on green policies, you know, which is ridiculous because we know when that money goes to the United Nations, who will be in charge of distributing these funds, it will be going through the back pockets of the rich and elite, and by the time that funding hits the floor where it's supposed to be, it will be so watered down it will be hardly worth the effort. It's a sad world that we live in. And you know, the other thing that I was thinking about is, how do you tell people that live in cities right now across Europe and the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, how do you tell people that the worst place possible for them to be in times of crisis like we're at right now, with a multitude of obstacles that we face on a daily basis, some in our living rooms, some not so, but how do you tell people it's the right thing to do being in a city when it clearly isn't? Because your back garden, if you're lucky to have one, is not enough for you to grow your own food and surviving. Cities rely heavily on imports, water, energy, public transport for a lot of people now that can't afford cars. You know, very vulnerable places to be, and really not the place to be when, you know, the shit hits the fan. I'd be interested in your thoughts on how you are perceiving, you know, what's going on in our world right now. So, you know, I'll be looking out in the comments section a bit later on for what you think, you know, is taking place right now, and what's your thoughts on it. You know, the cost of living crisis, hitting you? Is your energy bills too high? You know, how close are you to bankruptcy yourself? You know, are you living paycheck to paycheck? And tell me what country you're from. You know, if you're from wherever in the world, let me know. Because I've got a feeling, and it's more than a hunch, that this is a global problem that we're facing. And maybe it's done by design. Let me know what you think. Do you think it's all done by design? Do you think this is, you know, the precursor to the digital currency? Let me know. If you want to help support what we do here at the Observatory, there's a link down there in the description, and it'd be great to see a few people, you know, step up and support what we do here. And you know, other than that, I'll look out for all your comments in the comment section. I'll say what I usually do. Take care. Bye for now.